So Clint's going to be taking off for a couple of weeks, right? And tell everybody where you're going to be going.
Just heading over to Indonesia.
Indonesia.
Yep.
One of the safest places on earth.
Best waves in the world, so that's why I'm going.
So you're going surfing.
Yep.
And how many days do you think you'll get on actually on the waves?
Probably 2 weeks. I'll be on an 80-foot sailboat.
Wow.
The northern Mentawai Islands.
All right.
There's gonna be 9 other guys, so we'll have a total of 40 plus surfboards. I'm sure there'll be 6 or 7 GoPros and all that good stuff.
Awesome.
So.
All right. Well, we're gonna lose them for a couple, 3 weeks. So guys,
we'll be back.
Well, things will be. If things were slow before, they're gonna be.
You never know.
You never know, really.
Oh yeah. I mean,
now we'll know.
I do my best work when the naked city sleeps. Starboard planks. It's 4 inches wide here, and the port side plank is only like 3 5/8. So we're picking up that width with each plank. All this we just cut off, this live edge, they call it. It's mostly sapwood.
I'm gonna chase it out with a 5/16 bit. Make sure I got the right one.
Gotcha.
When you hear the term, I gotta get my ducks in a row,
Yes.
it's not ducks walking,
No.
it's from boat building.
Ready to cut this plank here?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
And then this one here is for the starboard side, or port side. I get 2 out of this, and maybe 3 out of this one. This one's already rough cut, this one's ready to cut, and there may be enough room for about a 16-footer left out of that piece of wood. Did you get what I said? Okay, this part back here, this last 3 or 4 feet, I understand, we're not gonna varnish it. I get it, it's gonna be painted, you'll never see it again. But because the old planks were so funky, what I'm gonna do is basically make the starboard side plank these dimensions up to here, somewhere in here. So that when you view it from the stern at the horn timber, they flow out the same way. And again, it's going to be painted, but you have to start establishing those heights sooner or later.
Well, sure.
And now's as good a time as any.
You'd like it to be consistent.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you might as well put 20 on one side and 22 on the other.
We already did. Well, the other side's, what is it? We measured it's like 5/8 bigger or 3/4 bigger, that side.
Yeah. Really?
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing?
Well, no, towards the ends it gets the same.
Okay.
But in the belly here, like for instance, here you go. Yeah, starboard plank. See this? It's 4 inches wide here. And the same area, the port side plank is only like 3 5/8. 3 7/8. So we're picking up that width with each plank, a 1/16 to an 1/8 at the most on each plank as we go down.
Gotcha.
You'll never see it. It's just how the boat was
Is that
built.
because the sizes on other part are not quite the same?
Yeah, very few boats are symmetrical.
Yeah.
Dead on. You know, they start out that way, and many years of wear and tear and collisions or whatever, boats warping can cause that to happen. But like that boat was off almost 1 inch from one side to the other at the fattest part of the belly, which is nothing. That's pretty good, actually. See how far we're staying away from the line here on the bottom edge?
Yeah.
Good 1/4 inch.
Sure.
The reason for that is because the old plank lines were so off, you cut your bottom edge, which is the open edge, we'll call it, quite a ways off the line. Because when the whole course is up, then we'll run a 50-foot batten that connects them all so that we can get a good flow into the planks. Because we're correcting as we go, but there's nothing like running a good batten on there to tie it all together.
Gotcha. So you wait until you have all 3 up and fitted basically.
Yeah, that way you
Cut
also.
the bottoms off.
Yeah, that way you also get a nice transition of flow at the butts.
Yeah.
So that the next plank goes right in there. And now on
So
the
you
top.
don't worry about the top so much, then the
Well,
top
no.
line should be really tight then, right?
Exactly. The top line we're going to cut very slowly, where we're just leaving the line. Now, because all the spiling marks, you see how they came out almost perfect on the batten. So we have to trust that. And now once that's cut, you just simply take the plane and just smooth that out with the correct bevel in it. And most of the time they'll fit the very first time. 2 times at the most in this area. See, it's not like those bottom planks down there were all twisty and weird. We have some of that going on here, but these are a lot more mellow. And now because of this length on this one, this goes from the transom to 17 feet. So
Nice.
so the twist in it, most of the twist is way back up in here somewhere. So you have a lot of leverage, and also the plank is a lot more supple because of its length. And so we'll be able to twist this one in without molding it. And not a lot of force either. Get 2 planks out of this one, plus a smallish bow plank. So out of 1 piece of wood, we'll get an entire course from one side. Almost 50 feet long.
Nice.
Huh?
That's pretty nice.
Yeah. We had to do some selecting yesterday. When they sent us this lumber, the lumber company X'd this part out. When they do that, in other words, they don't charge you for this.
Oh, how nice of them.
It was very nice of them.
That was all 10 cents.
No, that's about $10 there.
That was $10 a wood.
But here's why. You see the cracks in it?
Okay.
These cracks they go all the way through.
Sure.
And so there's a lot of.
Charge for that, yeah.
No, so this is basically firewood. But we had to discover that yesterday when we were looking at planks. And now that we're getting down into that part of the tree again, we're getting some very pretty quarter sawn grain to the extent that pretty soon we're gonna set one of those aside for the king plank. Remember the dreaded king plank? So,
Varnished.
very nice fine grain. Varnished.
Varnished.
Thank you, Charles.
Varnished.
Europeans, oh boy, they love their varnish.
They love that. We love our varnish.
That's right. All right, here we go. Also, by doing it, by cutting way away from the line, you can cut it very quickly without wasting a lot of time trying to, you know what I mean? It's a fine point you don't need to waste time on because you're going to cut it again later. So, but you do spend some time on that top line. All this we just cut off, this live edge, they call it. It's mostly sapwood.
Okay.
And sapwood.
Can you burn that in your wood stove?
Yes, this is Yeah, decent firewood. Yeah, that's about
I think so.
all it's good for. And you'll. It takes a little practice, you know, a few years, but I think we've talked about this before. But you see, guys, they're afraid to cut to that line because that line was taken off the new planking. We know that it's a true line. So you'll see guys cut an 1/8 inch or more away from that line, and then spend an hour or two with a hand plane trying to get it straight. We're just spending an extra 10 minutes with the skill saw, and you have very little planing to do, just enough to get the saw marks out, basically. See, before when we were doing planking, we were doing a lot of other weird stuff. We are now, except for a cute thing, strictly doing planking. Port side, starboard side, port side, starboard side. So what we're doing now is we just lay them all out, cut them too long, make some witness marks. While, in other words, while he's tearing that stuff out, see, now I'm gonna be cutting them all. And then once it's torn out, about that time, I'll be ready to start fitting them. So that all these planks become like a kit for the next course, port and starboard. So that's how we're doing it.
I was gonna put in some longitudinal bolts. If you wanted to film that.
Yeah.
If that matters.
Yeah, so well, as we expose the longitudinal,
Yeah.
the rivet's sticking out because they riveted through the planking. Well, that's no good.
Right.
So we gotta blow the rivet out and then drill a hole, slightly, that's 5/16?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, see, a 1/4 inch would be a little small for a longitudinal. So we're using 5/16. So you blow that rivet out, and as we expose those fastenings, as the planking comes down, we're rebolting the longitudinals as we go. So that's all part of the thing you gotta do.
Yeah, let's go take a look.
There you go.
Guys.
I got my glasses on.
Right.
Everybody's got their safety equipment on. Ah, like butter.
Yeah. Through
Okay.
here, I don't know if you can see this. Here's a
I
rivet
think so.
head
Yeah.
on this one. So what I'll do is I'll punch that out. And, we'll
Okay,
re-drill
let's
it
see.
for the 5/16. Come on, glue it there.
Yeah.
Right there. Pound them at the very end because you have to go flying. Some of them are so corroded on the ends. Come on, you sucker. Look at that. Washer, paint.
And now you're gonna drill it out.
I'm gonna chase it out with a 5/16 bit. Make sure I got the right one.
Gotcha. Nice new fastener.
So yeah, we'll do that as we work our way down.
When you put a new one in, the old one was holding the plank on, kind of, wasn't
The
it?
old one is through the plank,
Yeah.
through the frame, and
So in this case, it's going to be under the plank. So how do you have to make a little notch in the
what we'll
back
do is
side of the plank?
when we start fitting our planks in here, we're using wedges and clamps. The first time you clamp it up here, it's going to be super, super close, and that'll make a little detent in the back of the wood when we pull it off
Right.
of all the pressure. We just take a little spade bit, butterfly bit, and just give it a little relief on there.
Route out a little bit?
Yeah, it just takes it down just an 1/8 inch or so,
Right,
3/16, whatever
Okay.
it takes.
No big deal.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's what we've done throughout the whole boat.
When you hear the term, I got to get my ducks in a row,
Yes.
it's not ducks walking.
No.
It's from boat building.
Okay.
And when you're laying out planks on a lightly built boat like a dinghy or something,
Okay.
or you're lofting, you have these big heavy weights that have a little hook on them.
Okay.
They look like a duck.
All right.
So, and they hold the battens in place.
Okay.
So basically these are ducks.
These are ducks. These little marks that you've made. And now
These
you-
chunks are the ducks.
These chunks, right.
Now
Now
the
each
real,
one of those spots is where you put your mark.
Right.
Your hash mark.
right, see
And
them?
the batten is just making a nice smooth curve.
Right, and that's why when you put your new planks up, you make that edge really nice,
Right.
so that when you lay this one out,
It's perfect.
it looks right.
Yeah.
So you look down it, and there's no weird lumps or anything going on. And you just connect the dots with the Sharpie. And you have a picture of the plank. So a sharp Sharpie is only a little bit wider than a pencil line.
Yeah, no, that's perfect, right?
You can see the bloody
Yeah.
thing. And how good are you with a saw? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
So,
better, a little thicker.
exactly. And in certain species of wood, this is a slightly darker color wood. You can really see it. If it was yellow cedar, you could use a number 2 pencil because it's
Right?
real light color. Okay, there's one other thing you'll see.
That's one side of the line. That's
Yeah, now you see it here. Because the old plank that we tore out was just ragged,
Okay.
we averaged it out. One guy on the other side measuring that plank at every 5 frames or so, and would yell out the heights. In this case, 4 inches, 3 7/8, 3 5/8, and so forth. So now all those are written on the spiling batten.
Right.
See them?
Okay.
At each place. And now when we take this off, the spiling block was only used on the top edge,
Okay.
because now we just measure down at each spot, and that gives us our width in various places. Because there was nothing to spile to. The old edge was so ragged and torn up that
I'm just going to go by those specific measurements. And that was the width of the old plank?
the plank that was missing. The plank below it was one of the first ones we took off, and it was all chewed up because we couldn't see
Oh, okay.
the splines. Remember the splines?
Yeah.
And so what we did is we measured down to this roughly the center of the old spline. Okay, and then we marked those off. Now the odds are that these measurements coming up that we're going to take, when we actually run the batten, there'll be 1 or 2 that are off a little bit. We don't care. We'll just make that batten look good,
Right.
and then we've solved the ragged plank problem. Okay, so that now the next step, I've already marked these 2 points. Those we already had. Is to come in here and you'll see this one says 3 1/8. So we'll come down 3 1/8 from our line, make a mark. This one's 3 1/2. You see the plank's getting wider quickly. 3 7/8. That's the widest part of the plank. It begins to, actually gets, this plank does get wider as it goes forward. This is 4 1/8. 4 1/8. And 4 1/8. Now we take the batten and we run it again to those marks. You see the mark? So we run it right to where that mark is showing. Now this particular line doesn't have to be that good because remember we leave the bottom edge.
Rough line,
Yeah. Well, we want to get it close because the wider the plank is, the harder it is to bend. And I mean, a 4 1/4 inch plank is considerably harder to bend and twist than a 4-inch plank. Doesn't seem like it, but it's.
But also here, you want the line to be right. You'll just cut it wide, right?
Cut it wide because, again,
Not draw it
we
wide.
put the entire course up, and while it's clamped in place, then we run the 50-foot batten to our marks, and that way all the planks get a nice flow to them. Hey, that's what we're gonna do, a planking by Donald Trump.
I'll lose all our viewers.
Oh, you probably have more. Okay, you see that funny curve? It goes this way. In other words, this curve is going this way. This one should follow that, more or less. But we're gonna leave it for now until we get the whole thing clamped up. And once these are in, then we can kind of look at the whole thing. Because back aft, it was a real mess. There had been a lot of repairs back there and a lot of arbitrary widths.
That looks actually pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
It's a pretty good bend.
Now you see this right here? It's kind of funny looking.
There, yeah.
So we're gonna let this one go. Bring this out a little bit. We can always cut it off. There we go. So when we actually put it up on the boat and run our full length batten, we can adjust it at the horn timber. That's better, huh? See, it's almost to this mark. It's pretty close to that mark. So something in here on the old planking was a bit odd. Let's take a look now at the whole thing. Yeah. So that no matter what happens when we cut these, we want this edge to be really nice. So when we make our next plank to fit below it, comes up, it's easy to lay out.
Now this is the middle piece, right?
No, there, that goes into the horn timber. Yep, this is the aft piece. There's no funny lumps or bumps, so we'll draw the line. Oh, you're not gonna be back before he leaves?
I don't think so, because you're leaving, what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? 7? I might make it back one more time. Yeah, I have to go to New York. I have to go to New York.
It's not a week from Monday. Today's the 18th.
Okay, so you may see me, but if I don't see you, you have a great trip, and we will come back and we'll be hoping to see, we're counting down number 17 and maybe even 16 cut. That's what we're hoping. We'll see.